Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I'm Danny Smith, Executive Vice President and co-owner of ColorID, one of the world's leading integrators of advanced identity solutions. Today's webinar session is titled JRNY, Return Safely, Continue Confidently. Since the launch, we're really encouraged that JRNY has been so well received as a meaningful solution in supporting the safe reopening and the continuation of the higher education experience during this pandemic. Now, while JRNY provides tremendous benefits to ensure a safe return to campus, I really hope that one of the main takeaways you capture today is an understanding that JRNY is an effective, future-forward campus identity platform management solution. A proven platform that will enable higher education institutions to start their journey toward a more modernized campus, a progressive campus where the complex existing infrastructures of unified and independent systems can be connected, and the people who utilize these systems are connected. People and systems connected across the ecosystem, promoting efficiencies, communication, and a safer and more welcoming experience for everyone, as we've never seen before. Where the adoption of third-party solutions are easily integrated and supported, patrons, students, faculty, staff, and campus visitors like contractors, camp attendees, and everyday guests are vetted and easily onboarded and offboarded across the campus ecosystem. Now, today's session is being recorded and will be available on demand soon. We'll send email notifications out when it's ready. Once again, we have a large group of higher education identity industry attendees joining us today. So as we say, whoever you are and wherever you may be, we welcome you. And we hope that you find the investment of your time of great value and encourage you to be interactive in these sessions. Leading today's technical discussion will be David Stallsmith, Director of Product Management for ColorID. Now, David brings a wealth of technical information from over 14 years of working with advanced identity solutions. Of course, many of you know and you've worked with David over the years because he works closely with manufacturers, vendors, and end users to promote understanding of the complicated products and services that comprise our identification industry. He's contributed to the decision-making process at many universities, healthcare facilities, and government agencies as they've considered acquiring contactless, smart card, mobile ID, biometric, and identity management solutions such as JRNY. And since 2006, David has presented annually at the NACU conference. And he's also presented at NACUS annual leadership conferences, the European, the Canadian Campus Card Users Conferences, and full-day identity summits hosted by some of the most prominent universities in North America. David's technical knowledge concerning advanced identity solutions is a testament to his commitment to our industry and a great example of the value differential ColorID employees bring to our customer and our corporate partner relationships. Now, just a few housekeeping items, we'll get started. We're really encouraging these sessions, again, to be as interactive as possible, so please utilize the question box to submit questions, and all questions will be answered at the conclusion of the presentation during the Q&A period. In addition to asking questions, we'll also have live polls throughout the presentation, so please be sure to participate in those and be as prompt as possible. Also note that ColorID's higher education team is listening in on today's session and are available for any questions or follow-up discussions. Just call or shoot your account manager an email. Well, thanks again, everyone, for the privilege of your time and allowing us to come together. I'm going to turn this over to Dave and get started. Dave?
Thanks, Danny. All right, well, let's just get started right off the bat with a poll here. Danny, you want to lead us through this one?
David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Now.
Okay, sorry, folks. I got disconnected again. So let me share that screen with everybody. I apologize for the delay there. I was disconnected. I had a call drop. So anyway, we can see here that the where we are, 63% are mostly virtual, and that's not really a surprise. We've seen a lot of data and information shared on this, and so and really we've seen a lot of universities where they have residents actually that are living on campus and still doing virtual classes. So anyway, I'll close that up.
All right, very good. Well, yeah, very interesting poll there. In the presentation we gave last week, we actually had one or two people said pretty much back to normal, which was kind of surprising. But what we're seeing today is much more what we have heard from folks in the university world for the last 6 months. I think we're near normal yet. And, the big deal is classrooms and facilities are not being fully used. Even if you have students on campus, they're not going to class very often, if at all. Loss of income is a huge deal. And I'm not telling any of you that. We hear it from you, and that is a big deal. And these are just a few of the problems you have to deal with, right? If somebody has a high temperature, they have to contact the health center. There's a policy. Well, if you're on campus and you're not going to class, but you're in a dorm room and you test, even just the temperature, honor code, you have to go talk to the health facility. So then if you test positive, now you have to do manual contact tracing. And very interesting. Now, let me interrupt this for a minute and veer right at the beginning of my presentation into another market. In just the last 2 days, I've opened RFPs from 2 government organizations, one state and one county, and they're doing contact tracing, and they have a bid out for contact tracing. You would think solution, but what they want is a temp agency. They want somebody to hire contact tracers, people to make phone calls and actually go visit people. And within county and state government, there are many segments of the population that probably need that kind of hands-on situation. But today's presentation is not that. We're going to talk about something quite different. It can fit with that, but manual contact tracing, person to person, is very much alive. If you have some kind of monitoring solution, a lot of times it doesn't reach across the whole campus. It only works within a department or a housing complex. Concern for employees' families, what's going to go home with them after they've been on campus. And then all of this, of course, the biggest problem is the uncertainty and the dis-ease, right? Everybody's uncomfortable because we don't like being on is everywhere. And so whether you're on campus or you're off campus, underlying everything is a lot of stress. So in response to all that, what COVID-19 management practices are you using? Another poll.
David, is this set up so that we can read multiple choices?
Yes. Pick as many as you want.
Yeah, appreciate everybody promptly responding to that. We got all items, or all boxes are ticked. So I'll close that out and I'll share that with the group. So it's kind of what David was saying. There's a lot of third-party solutions we've seen. We've seen a lot of greenfield type solutions, and one of the good things from our perspective is that with the solution that we're introducing today, with the JRNY solution, it can actually complement a lot of what may have already been done and the work that the universities have done, and provide a more comprehensive and complete solutions, and in some cases actually can connect with the solutions that you've developed on your campus or maybe purchased.
All right, so picking up where Danny left off there, a lot of schools have a do-it-yourself approach, that are built by the school, because a few months ago, wow, we have to do something if students are coming back. faculty and staff are going to be on campus, we have to do something. If they're not on campus, we have to do something, and then we have to be prepared for when they might come back. So the appropriate response, though, is going to be created as you measure how long do you expect this to last. In June, it was, well, maybe this will be gone or over or fixed or a vaccine by September. But now here we are in November, and we're still asking those same questions. So the appropriate response is going to be based in some measure on how long anyone expects this to last. Do you need a big solution of, you're going to buy some big heavy thing that because you need to have it for 3 years, or you just want to get by? And so medical centers on campus and others are building apps, mobile apps, or converting mobile apps that allow everyone to do self-checks on there, or a website, a campus website where you can input self-checking. Often, though, there's no integration with other campus systems because so many systems on campus are not integrated with one another. And then also challenges with communications. It's one thing to throw up a website and put up a symptom checking questionnaire and have people fill that in. It's another one entirely to connect that to text messaging or even email services. And then we see other solutions like queuing and occupancy management, where you can Google those words and you'll be taken directly to websites that will sell you right on their website those individual solutions. And some of them are quite good. The only thing is that they are freestanding solutions, and sometimes they require you to buy hardware to make them work. So now you have a infrastructure, have a capital expense for the hardware, and you've bought another standalone system. So a lot of different things that we see schools doing. And I think part of the approach, again, is if we think it's not going to be here very long, maybe all we want to do is just comply. And I was at a financial security conference a few years ago, and a guy got up and he was giving a presentation, and he pointed out something that stuck in my head. Compliance is a minimum. If all you're doing is complying, you have only just fulfilled the minimum requirements of whoever designed whatever that compliance structure was. And it doesn't necessarily take into account anything that is unique to your institution, your needs, and it certainly does not take into account what you can do to go above and beyond. If you're complying, there's nothing wrong with that, of course. We have to comply. We have to follow government guidelines for masks, spacing, occupancy, testing, quarantine, all those things. Guidelines are there. We have to follow them. But higher education, especially in North America, which is where my experience is, it's a high-level experience. And just getting by is not a goal. Getting by is something that should be far below, because you're reaching to make things much better. And the safety, health, very important, making everyone feel more comfortable. So you're complying and going beyond that. So safety, security, convenience. Can institutions set a higher standard and maybe even move the needle on public policy? Like, you look at us. We are doing all of those things you asked us to do, and we're doing these things beyond. And maybe there might even be some privilege within that, in addition to the other benefits of going above and beyond compliance. On the other side of things, if any of you have attended our webinars that ColorID did through the spring into the summer, we talked a lot about it, identity issuance, identity making, and then ultimately identity management. And you'll recognize this slide if you've seen any of those, because I dragged this picture back out. And the idea here is that identity management is something often above what schools and many institutions do in terms of just issuing ID cards. You get the information, you print a card, you hand it to somebody, off they go. But how well do you manage the identity that card represents? And we've talked about that as something that's really becoming an important concept more than it was 15 or 20 years ago, certainly. And as with many things, the COVID response has exposed a lot of vulnerabilities. It exposed economic vulnerabilities around the world, many different things that were kind of running on fumes or stuck together with bubble gum and duct tape kind of came apart, and we saw that. Sometimes good systems, but if they're not well interconnected, then the strains of the pandemic response often revealed those lack of connections. Which brings us to today's feature, which is JRNY, presented by ColorID. And this right here, I'll just read it. Working with your existing infrastructure, the JRNY cloud service and mobile app will enable a safe return and help you keep your institution open. Kind of bold statement, but we believe this is true because these are really serious tools and they will work well on a campus. Again, reading one more thing, if you'll bear with me. Centralize, manage, and synchronize all identities and credentials across systems for a complete look, and here's the identity management part, at who, what, and where events are happening on campus. So who's involved, what are they doing, and how is that information moving around the various systems? So JRNY has connectors, but primarily it uses APIs when possible, and it is therefore interoperable with nearly all campus-wide systems. So you're not replacing necessarily anything on your campus, but you're adding JRNY to what you already have to integrate with student information system, transportation, parking, food service, res life, library, print management, access control. It will connect to all of those different systems. Now, any centralized system that will connect to everything on campus, of course, has to consider privacy as the most important feature. And two ways privacy works. One is what is afforded by the application itself. What can it handle? Is it built to protect privacy? But the other side of privacy is what is university policy? Because the institution has privacy policy. So this kind of solution, in a way, makes the institution say, okay, now what do we want to do here? We can do all these things. We can connect this information. How are we going to manage it? And because the solution is so configurable and it is very dynamic, it can change. It has intelligence in a way. So the school can figure out, what do you want to do? And then JRNY can do that. And if you need to tweak it, adjust it as you go along, that can be done too. And of course, the communications and the connections are secure. So all of that is just right off the bat. Privacy, security, very important. I bring this up here. This is a little sidebar, but it directly relates to JRNY. I don't know if any of you have noticed or heard, but whether you have an Android or an Apple phone, you have an exposure notification on there, unless you have a really old operating system on your phone. If you want to see this on your phone, go to settings and just type in COVID, and it will take you right to a screen. On iPhone, this is what it looks like right here, these two screenshots. And then in the front there, add your phone to fight COVID, help Colorado stop the spread. So that's the COVID exposure notification on your phone. Google has it also on Android phones. Google posted a little more information on their website, so I put this up here. It talks about the privacy. It works over Bluetooth, and there about the sixth bullet down, it says will only be used for exposure notification by public health authorities for COVID-19 pandemic management. So right here is where the exposure notification works kind of on its own within the operating systems, and I'll show that in a moment. But in order to get the benefit of that information from outside, you need an application, and that is where JRNY fits in, and we'll take a look at this. So this is from the Google site on how exposure notification works, and it's just a little 2-slide show here, and it's a story. So Alice and Bob don't know each other. They sit on a park bench and they talk for a few minutes, a few feet apart. While they're talking, because their phones have the Bluetooth turned on and they've given permission to this exposure notification on their phone to be active, their phones will exchange what are called beacons, identifier beacons. In other words, a number. So one phone knows that it was near the other phone. That's all it knows. The numbers are anonymous. They don't know who they are. Just each phone knows now that Alice and Bob sat next to each other. However, a little later that afternoon, Bob is diagnosed with COVID-19, and he enters the test result in an app from a public health authority. Now, in this case, that would be JRNY. So when somebody gets a test and they sit on the park bench in the afternoon, they go take a test. Oh man, you're positive. You put that in your app on your phone, and because of that, your phone now uploads the last 14 days of the keys, in other words, the other phones that Bob was around, to the cloud. And then Alice, she's sitting at home, watching TV and had no idea anything was going on, but her phone automatically downloads every once in a while all the keys that have in her phone that have tested positive, and one of those is going to be Bob's because he just tested positive for this afternoon. So she's going to get an alert. It says, you've been exposed to someone who tested positive. Tap for more information. And then you get a notification. All of this is anonymous. Only the phones know what's going on. But if you have a connected application like JRNY, it can pull that information and also be involved in the resolution of this process. Like with instructions, you know now who is positive, you know where they've been. So when it comes to contact tracing, the phone knows. And you don't have to send people out with paper forms and pens and pencil. And, if you think about that, you say, well, is that private? I don't know that we like an automated system doing that. Well, if the data is collected and it's properly stored so that it's private and it's secure, and you only access it when you need to, and of course, this is a closed community. We're not talking about international groups. We're talking about one institution monitoring the people that it is responsible for with their permission, right? Always opt in. So in that case, the information's there. When somebody tests positive, you just go open up the solution, you take a look, who were they around, the information is in the database, and it's automatic, it's clean. Only the people that needed to know find that out, and they pass that to the people who can do something with it. If, on the other hand, you're doing manual contact tracing, you send several people out. So-and-so here tested positive. We need to know who they were around this whole week. And off several people go with pads and paper or pads and pencils, and they interview people and they make phone calls. I don't know what. I mean, it seems to me like that actually has a lot less chance of remaining private and secure than the very carefully secured data. So, we have a kind of a reaction sometimes to automated systems, and yet I think properly applied, automated systems can be more private and more secure than people walking around talking to each other, which of course is very important, but not necessarily private. So another feature of JRNY is the mobile app, and it has mobile symptom surveys. We know a lot of schools have made these, and they've built a little mobile website, and people go in every day and they fill this in, or maybe they are checking boxes on a piece of paper. This can be triggered by time or by location. Time to do your survey, it's a certain time in the morning, or you're walking into a certain building. Time to go through. How are you feeling? It's customizable. Everything on here can be changed. And also, before access is granted, you can have somebody fill out the survey. They're going into a certain area. You want to make sure they've done a recent survey. You don't go in unless you fill out the survey. The data, again, is secure. And very importantly, JRNY has analytics that can look at this data and actually do something with it. You don't have to go in and look at everybody's data several times every day and try to figure out what's going on there. JRNY can help you make those decisions. Another thing that you can do with that kind of data, and also because JRNY knows where phones are, and phones know where they are. They can key off of Wi-Fi, they can key off of Bluetooth, they can key off GPS, and we can also use tags or NFC. There are many different ways to locate a phone accurately and securely, and using that, then the phone can be used to administer capacity limits, and it can be by zone. It can be on campus, it can be off campus. It can also manage shifts, which is, a bunch of folks are heading to one dining hall and it's full, and everybody's headed in that direction. They get alerts. Dining hall 1 is full. Please go over to the Oak Cafe. And so there, two-way messaging or one-way notifications based on information that the system knows. It knows how many people are in a room. It knows it's hit capacity. It can alert other people moving in that direction about that. Access verification can be handled, and it can enforce operating procedures to a certain extent. Again, what does the school want to do? A tool like JRNY, because it interfaces with so many different systems, can handle a lot of these kinds of decisions. You can use geolocation, zone, and dynamic condition rules. In other words, if things change, JRNY can make changes along with it. Quarantine. And what would any 21st century PowerPoint presentation be without a page of illuminated medieval text here, right? So, little break. The word quarantine, it's from the word 40. And back in the days of the Black Plague, death, whatever bad things in the Middle Ages, if you pulled into port in your boat, you were not getting off your boat for 40 days. They made you sit out there and hang out until all the sick people died and the people that remained were allowed to come ashore, because I guess they figured at that point you were okay. So that's quarantine. I think we've come a long way from there and understand the disease is certainly quite a lot better. But a quarantine management tool can actually be very useful and take a lot of the personal element out of managing quarantine when it has to happen. So you can have check-ins scheduled and random. You can set radius restrictions. You can't go beyond this area or that area. Again, most of this will be handled through the mobile app. Tamper-proof authentication. So you want to know that somebody is at a certain location at a certain time. You can use this tag right here, which has an NFC chip and a QR code. Either one of those they securely access a URL on the phone, which timestamps where the phone is and at what time. And so you can know in a way that cannot be tampered with, somebody was at that post at that time. Violation alerts, you want to get really into it. If somebody goes outside the quarantine area, movement permits. Now, this is something we'll return to a little later in the presentation, but the phone again can know, and based on your policies, under certain circumstances, maybe you're allowed to go here or there or at certain times. And then symptom survey permits, based on your symptoms or not, you have a permit to do certain things. And on the right here, you can see the screens that are used in the admin side of JRNY to set up these configurations. When they start, where you can go, a lot of flexibility there in setting up that quarantine. JRNY was originally built to manage large populations, international sporting events, people within cities. Important part of that, just built into the JRNY platform, is communications and emergency management. Now, hopefully on your campus, you don't have a lot of emergency management, but the communications features are very important, and they are part of how JRNY can help you, as I've already talked about, through notifications, emails, two-way messaging, very important. And I know campuses have a lot of messaging and communication tools already, but when you put them into a platform like JRNY, you make those communications available across a range of different solutions and not just limited to one or another. And it can pull data and then act on that and communicate based on that data across as many systems as you connect JRNY to. As we've talked about already, the phone is an important part of this. And normally we think of the phone as the credential. You present the phone, it acts like a credit card, you get to buy your food or whatever. But also JRNY, the app, turns your phone into a mobile reader, because it has an NFC reader and it has a camera and it can also scan QR codes. So in this particular picture, the tablet there is scanning the QR from the phone, but that could very easily be flipped. And so the mobile app puts the mobile reader on your phone, and there are a lot of things you can do with that. It also, through the mobile app, gives you a digital ID. You can have you can use NFC or the QR code for secure communication with systems. The immunity passport, I'll show a picture of that in a little bit. And then touchless interactions, of course, because with phones and NFC, you don't have to touch things. And again, the symptom survey prompts can start with the mobile app. Time to do your survey. How are you feeling? Analytics and dashboards, very important. Not just that everyone out there is behaving according to the policies that have been put in place and the JRNY is helping to manage, but how's it going? And so being able to both pull reports and do audits, but even more importantly, have real-time dashboards. And so there's a map-based UI, user interface available. You can see where people are, what's going on, any alerts on that map. You can have custom reporting tools, controlled data access with audit trails. In other words, you decide who gets to look at this data. It's not wide open, of course. And then very importantly, there's an AI or artificial intelligence connector for in-depth predictive analysis. So if you have another favorite data mining tool, such as Splunk or ClickSense or Tableau, you can plug that into the data in JRNY and go even deeper in your analysis. Which brings us to poll number 3. Dan, you want to walk us through this?
Sure, Dave. Sure will. And I guess, we've, when we see this particular question here, what are we waiting for? Looks like the results are coming in. Appreciate everybody being real quick on this. This is actually kind of surprising to me. Okay, we're dropping now. All categories are full. We're still getting a couple responses, so I'm gonna sit back. Okay, I'm gonna close it out now, and we'll share this with you. And when I look at this, I look at the information we just received yesterday about the new vaccine, and then you look at the stock market and the reactions of a lot of the across the country to that information. So I think that obviously that's a little bit more. We know more about that this week than we did last week, and it looks promising, but we still don't know. And I guess we are kind of waiting for the government to say what we need to do when we're all clear to go back and return to normal. But I guess it brings the question of, like, how are we going to manage this? There is a time we're going to have to come back, and when you look at the JRNY solution and you see how agile it is and the ability to, what I say is that the functionality of the JRNY is really limited by the policy of the university. And so when I'm saying that, we're going to have a strategy to manage coming back, and that's going to take a lot of on the fly policy change and how do we get an immunity a passport? If we're going to use the immunity passport, how is that vetted? What information needs to be shared? Is somebody that had a positive diagnosis earlier and has antibodies, are they going to be issued the identity passport? But if they are issued the identity passport, isn't that going to open up facilities and services and other important revenue centers a little quicker and safer? So when we're load balancing classrooms and dining halls, we're being able to identify a segment of the population that has an immunity passport and being able to introduce those people back into the facilities and services is going to be quite meaningful. And this is a tool that's going to help with that.
All right. Yeah. Very good. We did this poll last week, was our first presentation of this poll on the webinar we did last Tuesday. So election results then, not knowing that a week later if it would still be up for grabs or not. And 14% is probably about where the likelihood of this thing being over is the other 86% of that. But anyway, what Danny said is, at some point we have to figure out a way to come back. And when the governments give the all clear, is it just going to be, oh, we're good now, just go back, everything's fine? Or is there going to be this was pretty traumatic. Stuff really got broken. What do we need for that path back? So because the COVID-19 response, the disease is one thing, but the response itself has been a really complex issue. And certainly compliance is a minimum, but we have to comply. And certainly universities know you have so many different kinds of people on your campus, not least of which are the children for them to go to school and the governments that also help pay for them to go to school. So everybody's looking over the shoulder of the university and making sure that they get it right. And so this is a big deal. Now, another industry, then we look around and you say, well, how are other industries trying to solve this? And one of these that I came across is the airline industry, which, however bad things are on college campuses, the airlines are also having a really bad time of it. They got seriously broken, and they're trying to figure out how to get back. And of course, they not only have to, get off the ground at each individual airport, but they have to cross international borders. And one thing that is coming, it looks like, and one company we're going to talk about here has developed an immunity passport called the Common Pass. And, I was looking at this, and again, I don't like to read slides, but this one actually, this is right off of the Common Pass website. If you go there, this is real. It's sponsored by the World Economic Forum. And I think something like this is very likely for at least international travel. And here you go. For global travel and trade to return to pre-pandemic levels, travelers need a secure and verifiable way to document their health status as they travel. Countries will need to be able to trust that a traveler's record of a COVID PCR test or vaccination administered in another country is valid. Countries will also need the flexibility to update their health screening entry requirements as the pandemic evolves and science progresses. Airlines, airports, and other travel industry stakeholders will need the same. And this covers just about everything I've talked about already, right? We need to know who was tested, who got vaccinated. It needs to be flexible because things change, and everybody involved needs to understand what we're working with. So something like Common Pass is actually not an unreasonable way for the university to look at how are we going to get everybody back in school. This is it's an example of what a JRNY immunity passport could look like. And it could be based on your health screening. It could be you received a vaccine, you tested positive, you tested negative. All of that could be information that goes into deriving this passport, whether you're immune or positive or at risk. And so, again, something that just shows up on the phone, but it's secure. It's within the app. It's not anything you can make a screenshot of and defraud people with. But it also could be very helpful How are you doing? What's going on? Well, let's take a look at your phone. But you would also know this from the administrative side of the solution. You would have this information too. One other thing that JRNY is very good at, and that has been a low priority on campuses as far as we can tell, and that is managing guests, temporary visitors, whether it's campers or faculty guest faculty, all the people that come on and off campuses. And of course, the open culture of the American or anywhere university is very important. But now that we're talking about who's able to come in on campus and who's able to go in certain buildings within the closed community, the guests then are also going to have to work within those policies. And so guest and contractor management also can be called visitor management. Temporary people who temporarily visit your campus, you can pre-register them with JRNY. You can give them mobile and physical IDs. You can put contracts and agreements into the mobile app or something else, a website that they interact with, so that when they agree to come to campus, they have to agree to these terms. You can put health surveys in there, just like you do on the mobile app. You can track them live, real time, and of course, audits and reporting. So this kind of thing is something that will live well beyond the days that the days of pandemic response. Properly managed guests and contractors, very, very important. And schools have told us they're concerned that they don't have tools for that. On the other side, just nuts and bolts side of things, JRNY connects with a lot of different systems. Here are just some integrations that have been worked out with JRNY. But I think one of the most important things, I mentioned it earlier, right here in the middle, the RESTful API. And we have seen, and many of you probably have also, we have seen how quickly and efficiently connections can now be made between systems that have application programming interfaces, APIs. File transfers can move data, direct database connections. There are ways to do this that everybody has done for 20 or more years. The talk of feeds, and the feeds have to run at night because they're so data intensive that they suck bandwidth and we can't run them during the day. RESTful APIs are very efficient, and they set up, when they're well done, they're very quick to set up. And that is a big important feature of JRNY, a cloud-based solution. So the more systems you can connect to, the more benefit you get, because JRNY just sits in the middle of everything already on campus. Moving back into the real world situation, this map is from College Crisis. It's a project by Davidson College, which is in just down the street from ColorID's headquarters, just north of Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is goes back through September 9th. So this is pretty much the status of universities and colleges. I think about 1,400 here were surveyed, and this is what they're doing this fall. If they were in state in September, then they're probably still in the state. And it's funny, they picked two colors, the green through the deep pink or fuchsia. But you could imagine the green is blue, and you could imagine the fuchsia is red. And this looks a lot like maps we've been looking at way too much in the last couple of weeks. But what this tells you is that green means not much going on campus. Deep green means pretty much nothing going on campus. Pink, some people are on campus, some people are in class. Deep pink, pretty much business as usual. And so you can see in the areas where you might expect that to be the case, California is forest green, and the Northeast has a lot of deep green, and then the middle of the country, kind of a mix. It's interesting to look at, but really the takeaway here, and you can go to this, you can get a copy of this presentation, go to this website and check it out yourself. A lot of schools are not in session the way they were a year ago, and it's going to be a long road back. I don't know that comes fall 21, you just throw open your doors and everybody walks back in, and this never happened. Maybe that's the case, and that would just be awesome. But just looking at this, I think, we have a long way to go. So just a reminder here at the end, plan for the future. JRNY, it is built to manage identities, which is a perennial need on college campuses. It uses existing infrastructure, even some of the solutions you may or your school may have built to handle the pandemic response. You can use any portion of the solution. You don't necessarily have to use all of it. It will connect to your campus systems using your existing infrastructure. The goal is to create a safe and comfortable environment, and it is a platform for the future. So to learn more about JRNY, you can contact us. You can go to the ColorID site right here, colorid.com. We have COVID-19 response solutions page with pictures of this, and you can learn more about it and other solutions also that may interface that can help you get through this time. A word about price. We haven't talked about that yet. And as Danny has said in the past, and may say again today, it's dollars. It's dollars per user per year. Depends on the size of your institution, but it is surprisingly affordable and does a lot. So with that, I will bring my presentation to a close, and I'll let Danny handle any questions. And that's all I got.
Well, thanks, David. Great job. I can hear everybody clapping right now. So we do have a question that just came in, and this is from the university. Does this integrate with our OneCard system?
Yeah, that's a great question, because the OneCard system is connected already to a lot of different things. Yes, absolutely. So if your OneCard system has an API connector, then JRNY can pull data and push data in and out of that. If it does not, then JRNY can handle flat files or a direct database connection. It really just depends on what the OneCard system will allow. But at the very least, flat files will move data in and out on a regular schedule. So absolutely, getting data in and out, and then JRNY goes to work with what it does through the mobile app and communicating and knowing where everyone is based on the mobile app.
Yeah. Well, thanks, David. Again, great job. And just a quick note for everyone, just want you to know, if you obviously, we're here to promote the product and to certainly roll our sleeves up with you. We realize this is a enterprise solution. It's going to involve a lot of stakeholders and decision makers across campus. And we just want you to know that we're prepared. We're your partner. We can, take you with this on this journey through JRNY. Through your campus to get to the right folks, whether it's your response committee, your campus leadership, whoever that may be. We've got a tremendous amount of collateral, and we can take a technical deep dive, and and certainly are willing to let the IT folks look under the hood and do all the due diligence there. So anything that we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out through your account manager, or you can just email us at sales@colorid.com. We'll respond quickly and promptly and work a plan up that we customize to your particular campus. So on behalf of David and myself, I want to thank everybody for the privilege of your time and your attention. And that concludes today's session. So everybody, please be safe, be healthy, everyone. Goodbye.